Welcome back, everybody. This is another movie review from me, Special Agent 45. This movie review, we're going to be going over Dune 2021. Now, I know this movie's been out for, this is actually, I think, the second weekend of release in the US. And despite that, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. This should be entirely spoiler-free. If it's not, I will give a warning before I bring up any spoilers, but I'm going to try to keep this completely spoiler free. Now, even though it's been 2 weeks, or this is the second week of release, I realize, and this is part of the reason for being spoiler free, I realize that not a lot of people probably have time to go see this movie on opening weekend, and you probably have even less time to do it on Halloween weekend. I'm actually making this video on Halloween. So there we go. Enough of that. Let's move on. I'm also not going to compare this new version of Dune to the Dune 1984. There's a couple reasons for that, mostly because I don't remember Dune 1984 that well. I remember a few bits and pieces of it. I do remember after I had seen it, because after I'd seen it, I had talked to a group of friends, one of which had read the book. We'll get to when I read the book shortly. But he had read the book and pointed out that there was a whole lot of differences between the book and the movie, and they did a lot of things differently. Now, I thought Dune 1984 was great, but again, I don't want to compare this Dune 2021 to Dune 1984 because I haven't watched Dune 1984 in a long time. Full disclosure, I just read the book. I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. I haven't finished the whole book yet. And the reason I didn't get the whole book finished was because about a month before Dune 2021 came out, I heard that they were doing it in 2 parts. So at that point, I realized I don't need to finish the whole book before the movie comes out. I just need to get to the halfway point in my mind, because I figured, well, they're probably going to end it around the halfway point. They didn't quite. They went a little bit further than the halfway point, which is fine because I made it to about where the movie ends. To give you kind of a comparison, I didn't read Lord of the Rings. I finished it, I think, the day or maybe a few days before the movie came out. I did not read Lord of the Rings way back a long time ago. I only finally read it before the movie came out. Like I said, like 2 days before the movie came out. I finished the book and I was happy because they actually, if I'm not mistaken, they ended the movie before the book ended. So, yay for me. So anyway, back to Dune. Let's, in fact, with all that, let's just get into the review. Okay, so since I've been reading the book leading up to the release of this movie, like literally, I think I started it halfway through September, and I'm not a very quick reader, and I probably spend more time doing other things than reading the book. I finally started to focus on the book in October, but it's all of it's fresh in my memory. So when I went to see the movie, I had all the book fresh in mind. And knowing that the movie is extremely faithful to the book. There are some things that were cut. I'm going through a list of my pros on this movie. There were some things in the book that were cut that didn't make it into the movie. If you've seen the movie, then you understand, at least I did, I understood why they cut these things, because a lot of these things were world building. They didn't necessarily push the story forward, the story being of Paul Atreides and probably his mother, and even Duke Leto. They didn't really push that story forward. They were more world building and giving you a sense of how large the world of Dune really is. So they weren't necessary to push the story forward. So I actually consider that a pro, because from what my memory, like I said, I don't want to compare it to Dune 1984, but Dune 1984, if I'm not mistaken, did give us a lot of the backstory in an attempt to cram a bunch of things in that caused it to be completely different as you went through the movie. with Dune 2021, we get very close to the book throughout the entire movie. Some things, like I said, were cut. Some things were done slightly differently, but they were still pretty faithful to the source material. A couple of things I think were moved around. And when I say a couple of things here, a couple of things there, I don't mean a whole bunch and I can't recall them and things like that. I mean literally one or two things were moved around, one or two things were done slightly differently, and that's it. Everything else was it was completely faithful, I thought, to the book. Now, I would say that the entire cast did really well in their roles. In fact, I don't even know most of their real names, but Lady Jessica, I thought that performance was great. Paul Atreides, his performance was great. Jason Momoa, Oscar Isaac, I thought everyone played their roles really well. In fact, when I first saw the trailer for Dune, the boy, I shouldn't call him a boy, the guy that plays Paul Atreides, I know that he's like 25, but when I saw him, I immediately thought that he looked perfect for the role because he looks young. Now, he probably doesn't necessarily look 15, but he looks young. He looks very close to what I would say is a teenager, which is how old Paul is supposed to be. These stars did so well in their roles. I saw the character. I didn't see the star or think of them as someone, oh, there's so and so from this other movie. So I think they did that really well. The only thing that I didn't like about this movie, there is a scene, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a scene in the book where Paul figures something out. He figures something out and he says it, and then the person that they're with is kind of surprised that he had figured it out. In the movie, they had that person speak that line, say what it was, and I thought it was better that Paul said it. In the book, you get the sense at that point in the book of Paul's knowledge and his wisdom, and the person they're with is actually even surprised that Paul could tell what this building was. In the movie, that line goes to somebody else, their what I'll call their escort, and that kind of takes away from Paul's character. It's still a good movie otherwise. Something else I thought was really good was the costume design. The still suits are a little bit different than the ones that were in Dune 1984. I know I said I wasn't going to compare, but I can remember that little bit. But they're a little bit different, and I think that they're just as true to the source material. Let's just put it that way. All the rest of the costumes are equally good for what we've seen so far. I'm sure there will be more in the way of costumes in the second. Special effects were amazing, totally amazing. I believed the things that I was seeing. The only thing I thought could have been improved, some of the sound design. I had a bit of a hard time hearing some of the lines that were being spoken, and there wasn't necessarily loud sound effects going on at the time. Now, thankfully, I read the book, so I was able to follow along. I think maybe some of that might have detracted for anyone who hadn't read the book. But on that note, if you haven't read the book, you will not be lost, unless you miss some of those lines. But you can. I went and saw it with my family. They hadn't read the book, but they liked it. They thought it was fine. They were able to follow along the story just fine. I had additional, I guess you'd say, insider information because I had read the book, so I knew a little bit more about some of the characters than they did, because, like I said, some things weren't totally explained about certain characters. They didn't need to be, though, I don't think, for the movie to flow and for the story to keep moving forward. Now, on that note of the story moving forward, the movie ends. As you're watching it, the movie ends where you would expect it to end. I kept thinking to myself, and not like it just got started and I thought to myself, oh, I wonder where they're going to end it. No, we were probably 3/4 through, maybe a little further, and I started to think to myself, where are they going to end this? And then when it got very close to the ending, I realized, oh, they're going to end this right here. and that's where they end it. And like I said, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, so I don't want to say where they end it. Um, if you've read the book, you can probably figure out where they ended it, knowing if you know also that they're doing this in two parts. So when it ended, it was, I thought to myself, oh, this is the end. Um, and it came to that point, and then the screen went dark, and I was like, and really, they put the ending at a perfect spot. It wasn't, they didn't have to necessarily create anything that wasn't already in the book. It was, they may have moved one scene to where it wasn't in the book. I haven't read that far. My gut says that the scene that takes place right before the ending is not in that spot, because I am past where the movie ended, and that scene still hasn't happened. My guess is that it comes a little bit later in the book, because there is some conflict in the book, that they appear to have moved to prior in the movie. And I thought the ending was great. On that note, though, it does look like WB might be. I know they're planning on it being a two-parter, but I also get the feeling, the way the book ended, that they want it to be either a series of movies, not necessarily like Dune Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, not like that, but that they'll do other movies, because there are a series of books, Children of Dune, things like that. And I felt like the ending is giving them the opening to do movies, Children of Dune Part 1. And if they don't do that, maybe they'll do a TV series, Children of Dune, which I think they would put on probably HBO Max. So I got the feeling that they're trying to not just do a two-part movie, but also have like a world, have a TV series, kind of like Amazon's gonna do with Lord of the Rings, or like HBO did with Game of Thrones. That they might be looking at turning Dune into a TV series. One other thing that I actually thought was really cool, and I'm going to detail this. It's not a spoiler; it has nothing to do with the movie. But when you go see it, the WB logo has a deep blue in it. To I believe is to represent either water, which is a precious resource on Dune, or the blue eyes of the Fremen. And again, that's not really a spoiler. I'm fairly certain that was revealed in one of the trailers. But I thought that was really cool that they used a deep blue color in the WB logo. Okay, so I think that was kind of a mix, mostly pros, a few cons. I want to go into a few of the cons now that I had from the movie. And that is that since they only did about half the book, we don't have the full story yet, but they handled it well. So I'm hoping the part one part on the title screen isn't exactly prominent. You get the title comes up, part one. I don't really consider this a spoiler because it is on the international trailer. Part one comes up for probably a moment. It's almost like a blink and you miss it kind of thing. So they didn't seem to want to push that point across in the marketing or anything like that, which I think is not, I don't think that was a very good idea. I think they should have let people know that this is such a large universe and it's got so much information in the book that we're choosing to adapt it into two movies. I don't think anyone would have been upset about that. I mean, a few of the Harry Potter movies or books got turned into two movies. The Hobbit got turned into three movies. Should have been two. But I don't think people would have been upset saying, in fact, a lot of Dune fans of the book were saying you cannot do this book in a single movie. They tried to, and it didn't work. And before I found out that it was going to be a two-parter, I kept thinking, well, maybe this time will be different. But then as soon as I found out it's a two-parter, I was like, oh, in that case, it will be much longer, since it'll be a two-parter. But the studio didn't seem to have pushed that across. So I don't know what the general consensus is, of moviegoers. I do know that it seems to have done well internationally and domestically. And like I said, I actually said this in earlier, but some things were moved around or done differently. Uh, I see that as a pro because they made this, they kept the story moving forward, and in the book, some of those things weren't done, I would say, chronologically. It was more like you get to a part and then we follow some other characters and then you come back and you follow this character again. That's how it was in the book. But in the movie, they seem to have followed the characters chronologically as best as possible. So certain things got moved around and done differently. But I think that's all I got for now. I really liked this movie. I think once part two comes out, and once part two comes out, people will get the whole story, and then hopefully they will throw it on HBO Max and they'll release a Blu-ray of just the set. Hopefully they won't do this thing where they release the DVD, say in 3 or 4 months, Dune Part 1. Hopefully they'll hold that back and then put the whole thing out all at once, put it on HBO Max. We've seen with Zack Snyder's Justice League that people are willing to, whether or not they're willing to sit through it all at once, but they're willing to watch it. So put it up on there as the whole thing, but wait until part two is done and then do it. Actually, too late for that. I just remembered they did release Dune online on the same day that it opened in theaters in the U.S. So I guess too late for that. But we can hope that they make it like a single cohesive movie when the second part comes out, and maybe they'll hold back the DVD and the Blu-ray. Probably not. These are movie studios. They will probably release it, like, in the spring, and then they'll do part two, and then they'll release another DVD or Blu-ray, and then in a few years they'll release a single cohesive box set. Maybe, hopefully, they'll do it, collector's edition, something, with all kinds of extra materials and at an inflated cost. Who knows? But I think that once both parts come out and people are able to sit down and watch all of it all at once, they might have a better appreciation for it. But again, I liked it a lot. I am just waiting to find out when they announce the sequel so that we can finish the story. I'm sure I will have the book read completely by then. In fact, I will probably not only have that read, but then I will see if I can acquire the Children of Dune series and start reading that as well. But yeah, that's all I got for this movie review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, be sure and hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can get notified of future videos. And before I forget, if you have anything you want to add, if you have anything that you didn't like about this review, let me know in the comments below. And we'll see you in the next one.